Standard Time to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for 3.5 hours of live stream writing accountability, followed by our 1 hour max-ish share what you did wrap-up chat. Now today, it's just the chat. I'm streaming this chat on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope simultaneously. If you are new to how this whole thing works, usually during... Oh, I didn't go live on Instagram yet. I'm going to do that whole spiel again. I apologize, but I'm wide awake. That's what's going on here. No, I'm not going to do it. If you're new, what usually happens, I'm going to go live on Instagram in a second. What usually happens is that during those first 3.5 hours, I'm working on my stuff, you're working on your stuff, and you are encouraged to keep the live stream open in a separate window, separate tab as background noise, as though we were in a shared digital workspace. And then to just use the chat as a place to keep a running log of what it is you're working on and what it is you're getting done. And I misnamed the stream, so I'm going to have to edit that on YouTube. Holy Christmas. Wide awake. It's a place to keep a running log of what it is you're working on, what it is you're getting done, and or any questions that you have about your creative work, my creative work, and the creative process in general. And so anything that you have been working on this morning, if you went ahead and did the morning writing knowing that I was going to only be doing the chat today and was waiting for that chat, you can go ahead and start putting in a brief summary of what it all was that you were working on or got done, and your questions that you may have into the chats on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch. All three of those are open on my screen so I can see them. You go ahead and do that. I am going to go ahead and now go live on Instagram and give them a little an introduction slightly special to them. It's going to have all the same information, so you're going to hear it again while you're typing into the chat about what it is that you all were working on. All right. Hey neighbors, I just went live on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope. I thought I was live with you too. I was not. That's on me. But so yeah, so now I'm gonna fill you in on are those the words I just said? Who knows? Who cares? This is live, so there's nothing to edit. Fill you in on how the wrap-up chat usually works for the morning writing. So usually I stream from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings. And during that time, people on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope are encouraged to keep the stream open that I'm doing in an open window, in a separate window, separate tab as background noise for what they're working on, and to use the chat as a place to keep a running log of what it is they were working on, getting done, or any questions they have about their projects, my projects, and creative process in general. Because the writing portion of the live stream was canceled for today because I thought today was going to be the last day of my cycle. It's not. It's actually, we'll get to that in a second. Because it was canceled because of menstruating human reasons, I was only going to do the chat today. So they are right now putting into the chat brief summaries. I assume they're typing into the chat. They're typing into the chat brief summaries of what it is they're working on and got done during the morning writing time when the live stream wasn't happening, and any questions they might have about creative things. And so you are encouraged also to give any brief summary that you have about things that you got going, whether you worked on them this morning, same goes for you guys, whether you worked on them this morning or they're just ongoing projects that you have, or questions that you have about your creative projects, my creative projects, and the creative process in general. And now while you type things into here on Instagram, while you type your brief summaries, if you're going to be doing that, I'm going to give a brief summary of what all I did get done this morning and what projects I do have basically going. So usually during the morning writing, I work from right now 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. on the penrosetrekkie.com. Hey Naz, nice to see you this morning. Usually I work on the penrosetrekkie.com from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. just working on building up the editorial calendar, making sure that things are going to publish on a nice steady schedule, sonnets going out on the anniversary dates of the related Star Trek episodes blog post, and the Star Trek episodes original air date or release date. And so that's that, and also filling in the supplemental logs between those mission reports, because it's all got a shtick on the penrosetrekkie.com. Working in on filling those supplemental logs in the off season. So right now, actually, if I look at my editorial calendar, I have posts scheduled to go out until September 14th, and I'm working on filling it out to the end of the year before moving on to my nonfiction website, thegoldenGooseEggs.com, and getting it squared away to the end of the year, plus a couple extra months wiggle room. Want to keep things kind of layered, just so there's breathing room to move from one project to the next and take any space off I may need for OCD management reasons. And then from 9:30 to 10:30 right now, my primary project is working on a new edition of Random Bearings, which is an epic pantoum I wrote with a line of whoa, I was about to do the description for a horological epic, and that's not what we're doing. An epic pantoum, is inspired line by line by the now defunct Missed Connections website. So back when that website was a thing, I hit the random button 300 plus times in order to find 300 unique listings and write one line of verse in response to that listing, effectively answering, in spirit, answering every missed connection ever, while also being a giant missed connection listing for anybody who's ever wanted one. And so that is... I wrote that a number of years ago, and it's actually posting right now to my Instagram account. It's the white square on my feed right now. And in that whole zip line, diagonal line, whatever. If you look at my Instagram current to when this video goes out, then you know what I mean when I say the white squares. And actually, if you go to YouTube, if I do the screen share thing real quick, you're not going to be able to read the screen at all, but you can see as I scroll on my screen share, if you're watching this on YouTube, Twitch, or Periscope, how there's this sort of diagonal line going on of images and gold squares and white squares. The white squares in those diagonals are the epic pantoum. There are 150 quatrains, because every line gets written twice. Hey, Ms. Good morning. And so those white squares on my Instagram right now are the Random Bearings, and I'm working on a new edition of that poem. So the new edition, the PDF, will, like the current PDF, be free, but I'm also, in addition to that, doing a deck of cards for the 150 quatrains. So that's a lot of fun to design right now, and I'm actually waiting to hear back from my patrons on Patreon as to how they want their names listed on the penrosetrekkie.com in the PDF edition of the book, and also the deck edition of the book, how they want their names listed as patrons. Waiting to hear back from that in order to finalize the PDF and then get the whole thing printed. And then usually in my mornings from 10:30 to 11:30 before coming for the live chat, I work on admin stuff, behind the scenes type things, besides just writing blog posts for the penrosetrekkie.com. I work on updating the site, double checking that links are working, making sure that the RSS feed with MailChimp is all squared away, making sure that when people go to download things, those links are working. Because I just, I'm a writer. I want to make sure that the things I have put out there for you to read are available for you to read. Now, this week has been a little finicky. I knew that I was coming to the end of my cycle as a menstruating human this week. I did not know that the cycle was going to end 30 hours early. So my period started yesterday, right as soon as I made the decision of what exactly I was going to do to readjust my writing schedule and just get myself prepared to menstruate and be exhausted for a full 24 hours. And then my body's like, oh, well, now that we've made the decision, we feel so much calmer. Let's just menstruate now. So that's fun. And yeah, so today I spent the morning, I wrote it down. Because that's what I do. I write things down. I keep track of things. So this morning I got started doing around a series of meditations that I usually do on Saturday mornings. So because I try to do my Sunday routine on the first day of my period, and then my Saturday routine the days leading up to it. But today, like this morning, I was still within the first 24 hours of my period, and I didn't know what to do as part of the second day of my period. I need to work out that routine, and so instead, I just did the Saturday morning routine again too. So that routine was doing chanting to the Bodhisattva of Compassion, Avalokiteshvara, and doing a sitting meditation for 20 minutes. Then I was going to do a kneeling meditation for 20 minutes like I usually do on Saturdays, but cramps would not allow it. The first 24 hours of my period, always with the cramping. So instead I just continued to do a sitting meditation. And then, so I did that for 20 minutes, and then I read from this book by Thich Nhat Hanh. Well, it's a compilation of writings from various books by Thich Nhat Hanh. I keep all the books by this guy on my desk here on top of my printer on a little tray so I can have easy access to the printer. But I have all my books here by him in these two little stacks so that they're just always ready for me, because mindfulness practices. Good morning, North Florida, Mobile. Mindfulness practices are the #1 recommended way to manage your OCD. It just, yeah. So mindfulness exercises are very good for that. And so then after 20 minutes of reading from that book, I spent, and that is a meditative practice for me because that's how I got into meditation, is that the way Thich Nhat Hanh writes is just so calm and peaceful, and the rhythm of it, there is something magical about the rhythm in which he writes, that it just feels meditative just to be reading his books, which is exactly what I freaking need when my OCD and the obsessive thoughts and the intrusive thoughts, those I cannot control. I can control my conscious thoughts, but I cannot control those thoughts. But I can rein those thoughts in when I'm reading his work, because the rhythm of it just so meditative that I just get the thoughts I can control focused on the book, and then the obsessive thoughts in my head shift over to also being focused on that. And so that's very helpful. So read from that for 20 minutes. Then I prayed for 20 minutes because that's a thing. And so that was that. And then I had thought of a little gatha that I use for myself all the time when I'm doing sitting meditation, and I tweeted that out. I tweeted a couple of gathas out this morning, I think. Yeah, so basically then just different thoughts that I had had as a result of the meditating, I went ahead and tweeted, so I can share those with you now, because I don't know where they'll be in the Twitter feed later. Hey, the paint broidery. Good morning. All right, so let's see. What was the earliest one today? All right, so first today, in breath, yes, please. And then on the out breath, thanks be. Yes, please. Thanks be. And then there was another gata that came up. There's somebody that I like to follow on Instagram, Raw Goddess, RHA Goddess. I highly recommend following her. She's amazing. She does these little short hot seat lives, and in response to her going live today, another gata came up that goes, "In seeing what I've done, I dust off the trophy. In seeing what I've done, I dust off the trophy." The big message in that video today being about how we need to be honest with ourselves about what we accomplish, about what we do, and really acknowledge ourselves, really acknowledge those things that we're doing. And just by acknowledging those things, you are effectively brushing off the trophy. The memory of it, just the memory of it, is its own trophy. Just by thinking about it, just by acknowledging it in your mind, I did this thing, you are brushing off that trophy. And that helps bolster you for the things that you want to do next, that you want to continue doing. So those were the two gatas that I shared on Twitter this morning. Again, very slow morning because I'm still in the first 24 hours of my period. And I will be for another hour and a half according to the clock. I like that the first 24 hours is pretty consistent in that way, that I'm going to get a little bit of a bolt of energy and be able to do some light cleaning today once the 24 hours are up. Some light cleaning in the early afternoon. I'm looking forward to it. All right, so now that I've shared what I got done this morning, I'm popping into the chats on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope to see what all you guys got done. If you are just joining me here on Instagram, now's a great time to go ahead and pop into the chat. Any brief summary you have about creative projects that you've been working on or have gotten done, or that you are generally working on, and any questions that you have about your creative projects, my creative projects, and the creative process in general. So checking YouTube's chat first. Creative projects, my creative I forgot to mute the computer so that wouldn't happen. All right, going to the live chat. I do have Twitch open in a separate window, so don't think that you've popped anything into the chat and that I'm not going to receive it. I just know better than to hit refresh on the chat. All right, so there's nothing in the chat on YouTube. No worries. I will get you guys in future convos. Getting a couple of notifications here on YouTube. All right, so not comments on previous videos, which is fine. You can, when I post this video to IGTV, or when I post when this is archived on YouTube, this live, you can always comment what it is you're working on and any questions you have about creative things. So now going into the Twitch chat, and there is nothing in the chat here. No worries, no worries. And now onto the Penrose Trekkie. That is Periscope. And it does not appear that there is anything in the chat on Periscope, but that may also be because I clicked into the Periscope late. I'm a little off this morning, and it does that fade thing. I'm gonna open something in a separate window, see if there is some difference in what happens in the chat on Periscope when all right, so it's possible that people aren't. Okay. All right. So it says that there were viewers, but there weren't chatters on that video. All right, so I think, technically speaking, in terms of having everything set up, I've got things squared away for the 3 streams. We're just having difficulties getting back into the swing of the morning writing, which is totally normal. Well, everything's normal because nothing is normal. What is normal? Anyway, so double checking the chats across the board, nothing new. And here's the thing with the morning live stream wrap-up chat. The way it works is you share what you did, I share what I did, which I've already done, and then I respond to everything in the chats, checking in with you on your creative projects, and answer any question that I think myself capable of answering in that moment. And if there's nothing in the chat, or we run out of things to talk about in the chat, then it is time to wrap. And for those of you on Instagram who might be slightly confused by what I do next, I have like a whole border thing via OBS that I use when I'm streaming to YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope. So, you can find links to those at thepenrosetrekkie.com. And in case you want to do the morning writing accountability, and we'll be back on schedule next week because my period will have ended by Monday, or we'll be at enough at its tail end that it's just not going to affect anything. So thank you very much for joining me today. I'm Rose Jermusyk, your live stream writing accountability partner, here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday mornings from 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for 3.5 hours of live stream writing accountability, followed by our 1-hour Maxish Share What You Did wrap up chat. 1-hour Maxish, it starts at 11:30. It goes until we run out of things to talk about, my friends. And I do encourage that you please come back and use the chat as a place to keep a running log of what it is you're working on, what it is you're getting done, and any questions that you have about your creative projects, my creative projects, and the creative process in general, because I really do believe that when we have conversations about what it is we're working on, we can improve the stories that we're telling ourselves, and the stories that we're telling each other, and the stories that we're telling together as a family, collective, community, society, whatever. And that improving all these stories, little by little, day by day, we can build a better world through better storytelling. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you at our proper 8 a.m. time on Monday. This week gets to be funky because it was a menstruation week.